Hello, 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 and welcome back to Small Biz Better Summit. Can you believe the caliber of speakers that we've had so far? And believe you me, we are going to continue in that same fashion right now with Mr. Trevor Otts. Sir, how are you doing today?
Well, Mike check. Mike check. It's really good to be here today, and really good to just be among so many entrepreneurs who are really out there in the world just making a difference.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. So, for those of you who don't know Trevor Otts, I'm going to get to an introduction to him in a second. But first of all, I just want to thank you all for being here, for attending the sessions, for being engaged, asking questions. This is really a give back that we love to do for you entrepreneurs, you small business owners. Just a free summit, bringing in speakers from all over the world just on how you can small business better. We believe small business should be a verb, not just something that you should be a verb, not just a noun. So how do you small business better? And so without any further ado, let me introduce this great man who is sitting right next to me on the screen, not in real life, but right next to me on the screen, Mr. Trevor Otts, who has several businesses. He's coached several people to seven figures and beyond in their business. And today we're gonna have a brief interview about how to build your tribe, how to solidify your tribe, get loyalty with your tribe, engagement with your tribe. It's a great way to build your business, build your brand, build trust and authority with your brand. And so Trevor has been doing this for decades, and we are just so happy to have him here with us today. So Trevor, thank you again, man, so much for joining us.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it. So let's get to it, man. Let's go out there and change the world together.
I love it. I love it. Let's dive right on into it. Perfect. So first off, a lot of people are wondering, first of all, yes, I have my business. Yes, I have some of the basics of my business, but how do I start to get a tribe? How do I even start that momentum and start that reach to get a tribe? What are some things you would suggest for those people looking to get a tribe, to start their tribe?
So, one of the things that they do a lot of times, especially when we're going to the business conference and we got the coach and we got the YouTube University, they're all these different places, and we tend to get into, I gotta build my audience, and I gotta market, and who's my target audience, and sometimes it can just become white noise, if you know what I mean. When it just becomes white noise, like you feel like you've heard it a million times, and it sounds like gobbledygook, like, yeah, you got to build your audience. Who's your target audience? Let me just say this. First of all, I want everybody to write this down. I'm a big believer that note takers and money makers. And first thing I want to tell everybody, I want you to write this down, is that there's a difference between an audience and an army, right? And see, marketing is really about talking to your audience. But really, PR is really about mobilizing your army, right? And so a lot of times we spend so much time trying to build an audience, but we haven't kind of brought them together in some type of cohesive way that they're taking really more of a uniform action. And so there is a difference between an audience and an army. And I want everybody to write that down. Now, I'm a big believer that don't make business more difficult than it has to be. You got to simplify it. So what I want to start out with today is I want to give everybody a simple, very simple formula for really building your tribe, building your army, building your community, right? And I want to really give you that formula today, right? So I want everybody to write this down. M plus M plus M equals M, right? How easy can that be? M plus M plus M equals M. What do I mean? I mean that a movement plus a message plus a methodology equals money. Movement plus message plus methodology equals money. Now let's break that down. The movement is the concept or the idea that people rally together around. And so every brand, every company must have a movement. What is the movement? The movement is the concept or the idea that people rally together around. Now I want you to put a pin in that, because we're going to come back to that, because when we're talking about building a tribe, when we're talking about building a movement, right? When we're talking about building a community, right? When we're talking about building your own marketplace, for those people who want the technical term, community, tribe, marketplace, those are all the same things, okay? And the movement is nothing more than the concept of the idea that people rally together around, okay? So we know that M plus M plus M equals M. We know the first M stands for movement, but the second M stands for message. Message, write this down, is the thing that you're saying to inspire people to take inspired action. Not only do you want them to inspire people, but you want them to take not just any old type of action, not just mediocre type of action, but inspired action. When I'm talking about inspired action, I'm talking about the type of action that causes people to wait outside in the rain to get the iPhone type of inspired action. So inspired action, right, or message is the thing that you're saying to inspire people to take inspired action. Now, I like what Tony Robbins said. Here's what Tony Robbins said. Tony Robbins said that powerful people ask powerful questions. Now, I know that it's powerful people on this call today because you had the power to start your own business. Now, here's the thing. Powerful people ask powerful questions. Well, why? Because questions steer focus. And in your life and in your business, you only get what you focus on. Powerful people ask powerful questions. Why? Because questions steer focus. And in your life and in your business, you only get what you focus on. So as we are coming through today's talk, one of the things I want to encourage everybody to do is first things first, stop looking to mentors, gurus, coaches, and whatever else they call themselves today for the answer. I'm not the answer. He's not the answer. We're not the answer. The answer to your big breakthrough lies within, right? And so what you have to do is stop looking for the answer and look for the next best question. So my question to you is, are the results you're looking for equally as powerful as the questions that you're willing to ask? Let me say that again. Are the questions that you're willing to ask equally as powerful as the results that you're looking for? Because powerful people ask powerful questions, right? Because questions still focus, and in your life, you only get what you focus on. And I can tell you one thing is that everything you want in your business is on the opposite side of the questions that you're willing to ask. And so in this conversation, it's not about what's the answer, it's about what's the next best question. Because that next best question is going to unlock your focus and unlock your ability to get to the answer that lies within you. Once again, we're not the answer. So let's utilize this principle, okay? We said that the movement is the concept of the idea that people rally together around. We said that the message is the thing that you're saying to inspire people to take inspired action, right? And so since we know that powerful people ask powerful questions, when we say it's the thing that you're saying to inspire people to take inspired action, my question to you is what people? What people? And as soon as you ask that question, you realize something, is that your message is not for everybody, it's for somebody, right? Your message is not for everybody, it's for somebody. So if the message is the thing that you're saying to inspire people to take inspired action, what people? It's the people that's a part of your movement. The people that joined together, banded together around the concept of the idea that you got them to rally together around. See, there's this story, I don't know if you've ever heard it, Marcus. It's called The Story of the Third Giraffe. Now, maybe you haven't heard the story of the third giraffe, but let me tell you how it goes. So the third giraffe goes a little bit like this. Noah was building an ark. Why? Because Noah was trying to save the world. And he was just like every other entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are just trying to build an ark. Why? Because they're trying to save the world in their own special way. So as the story went, Noah wanted 2 goats. He wanted 2 buffaloes. He wanted 2 rhinoceroses. He wanted 2 parakeets. He wanted 2 dogs. He wanted 2 cats. But he also wanted 2 giraffes. And on the beach, Marcus, there were 3 giraffes, and they were having a conversation, sort of like the conversation that goes down with your family and friends when you are getting ready to start your business. And they were saying, I don't know about getting on that ark. I'm gonna wait till everybody else gets on. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna do it next time, right? And so essentially, 2 of the giraffes ended up going ahead and getting on the ark. The third giraffe never got on the ark. The reason why you never heard the story about the third giraffe, because the third giraffe drowned. The third giraffe stayed on the beach. The third giraffe basically was wallowing in self-pity. The third giraffe lived in regret. The reason why you never heard the story about the third giraffe is the same reason why you never heard the story about the third goat, the third rhinoceros, the third dog, or the third anything. Because when opportunity knocks, when your moment comes, when your business comes knocking, right, you got to get on that ark, right? And so what happens is sometimes as entrepreneurs, even seasoned entrepreneurs, we kind of forget the basics, that our message ain't for everybody, it's for somebody. So the message is the thing that you're saying to inspire people. What people? The people that's a part of your movement to take what kind of action? Inspired action. And that's the message, right? And so then we got the third M. The third M is the methodology. And the methodology is the process or the system that we use to produce results. For who? The people that's a part of our what? Movement, right? And so it's the methodology is the process or the system that we use to produce results. First for ourselves. Because don't nobody want to be your guinea pig, right? So it's the process or the system that we use to produce results. First for yourself, second in your business, and then third in the lives of the people that you're called to serve, right? And so what happens is a lot of times, right, what I can tell you is that oftentimes is we get people in business and you ask them, say, you know, well, why are you in business? Why did you start this business? Why did you start this mission? And they you've seen this opportunity, this entrepreneur, and they say, well, I was so passionate, right? I'm so passionate about the people, and sometimes they just start to tear up. They get so passionate to help people. Yeah. But let me tell you something. Passion minus process equals poverty. Yeah. Go ahead, write that down. Passion minus process equals poverty, but passion plus process equals profit, right? And see, the thing about it is, if you can't turn, all of us as entrepreneurs, we're naturally influential, but if you can't turn your influence into cash in the entrepreneurial space, all you are is popular. If you can't turn your influence into action, all you are is popular. You got to take that passion, right? Develop a process, right? Or a system, right? That produces results for others, right? And that is the key to unlocking your profit. So let me back that thing on up again, right? I want you to write it down, right? I want you to write this down. Every time I start a new brand, every time I start a new launch, every time I start a new automation sequence, every time I'm in front of Samsung, Tropicana, Microsoft, or Joe Blow from down the street, it don't matter. I come right back to the same formula. M plus M plus M equals M. A movement plus a message plus a methodology equals money, right? What's your movement? What's your message? What's your methodology? But we can't cover all of that today, but let's just focus in on the movement. The movement is the concept or the idea that people rally together around. Now, here's the thing that I need you to know. Every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive, and it's the disruptive moments within your movement that give it momentum. Let me just go ahead and say that a little bit slower, Marcus, because I can hear you in my ear. I can hear the audience in my ear.
You're reading my mind.
Every movement, right? Every movement must have a moment, right? Those moments must be disruptive, and it's a disruptive moment within your movement that give it momentum, right? Every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive. It's a disruptive moment within your movement that give it momentum, right? And so let's break that thing down just a little bit. Let's break it down. Since we said every movement must have a moment, it must have a dispensation of time of heightened relevancy. It must have it's a dispensation of time. When we talk about moment, it's a dispensation of time of heightened relevancy. When we're talking about heightened relevancy, right, I want you to think about iPhone, right? I want you to think about Apple. They have the iPhone, right? I got my trusty handy dandy iPhone right here, right? And what happens is they launched the iPhone. No. Team, all my people out there, if you're Team Android, put Team Android in the comment section. If you're Team iPhone, put Team iPhone in the comment section, right? Because one got a movement and the other one, they just got a phone, right? But now, in all seriousness, when we talk about that, every movement must have a moment, meaning the heightened, a time of heightened awareness, right? Heightened relevancy, right? During a particular period of time. What we're really saying is that if you look at a company like Apple, they launched the iPhone at around about, every new iPhone they launch about the same time every year. Every new iPad they launch around about the same time every year. Every new upgrade to the MacBook Pro, they launch around the same time every year. Every new Apple Watch, Apple TV, they have what we call launch cycles, right? And so too many times as entrepreneurs, we launch when we need the money. We launch when we want some money. But you have to create what's called a launch cycle, a period of heightened awareness about the products and services that you offer, right? And so one of the things about getting your tribe to trust what you do, right, is being able to stick to the launch cycle, right? And so every entrepreneur should have about 3 to 4 signature products that launch at a certain time each year. So we know that the iPhone typically launches around about September, right? We know that every year, around about the fall, a new iPhone is going to come out. And we start anticipating when that new phone is going to come out. Doesn't matter if you got an Android, you got a Galaxy, you got a Note 10, doesn't matter. They have a launch cycle, right? And that launch cycle creates anticipation. When you do not have a launch cycle, right, then what happens is you break what we call client anticipation. And so part of doing your launches is also knowing what times of the year will this particular product or service be more relevant than other times of the year. Now, just think about how the Apple wheel runs, right? Because every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive, and it's the disruptive moments within your movement that give it momentum. So every movement must have a what? A moment. But those moments must be disruptive. Well, what did Tony Robbins say? He said powerful people ask powerful questions. So here's the question. What is disruption? Every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive. But what is disruption? See, disruption, I want you to write this down, is challenging the norm. It's challenging what people normally think, challenging what people normally say, challenging what people normally do. What is disruption? Challenging what you normally think, challenging what you normally say, challenging what you normally do. What is disruption? Challenging what the industry normally thinks, challenging what the industry normally says, challenging what the industry normally does. See, what happens is without any disruption, there is no momentum. Without any disruption, you're just another business out there. You're just one of a million. You're just one of a billion. You're just one in a trillion, right? Because you have no disruption. See, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about politics, whether we're talking about business, whether we're talking about technology, it don't matter. I would use that as an example. There was a brand. It was called the Student Nonviolent Coalition, right? They had a movement. It was called the Civil Rights Movement, right? But that movement had a moment of disruption when a young lady by the name of Rosa Parks refuses to give up her seat, which creates disruption, which triggers the Montgomery bus boycott, which now gives the civil rights movement momentum, and then leads to the March on Washington, where Dr. Martin Luther King gives the I Have a Dream speech. And if it's not for that moment of disruption, I'm not sitting here today, and neither is Martin, because every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive, and it's the disruptive moments within your movement that give it momentum. But let's just look at when the iPhone came about. When the iPhone was created, when the iPhone was initially created, well, what happened, right? Well, first of all, when the iPhone first came out, phones had basically big buttons and small screens. And then when the iPhone came out, all of a sudden, phones had big screens and one button. It was so disruptive that people stood outside in the rain just to get the iPhone. It was so disruptive that basically every phone right now, for all sakes and purposes, is somewhat of a spinoff of the original iPhone design, right? Because every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive, and it's a disruptive moments within your movement that give it momentum. 10 years later, Apple decides to disrupt it again. We got used to the one button in the middle of our phone. So they come out with another phone. What's happening on the next phone? Now they got a phone with no buttons. What happens? Everybody follows suit. Apple did it again, right? All of a sudden, Apple is a disruptive company, right? All of a sudden, about 3, maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5, Apple decides to say, hey, you know what? We're going to take the headphone jack off the bottom of our phone. So now there is no place for me to stick this app. These headsets won't work with this. You want to know why? Because they took the phone jack, right? They took the headphone jack off the bottom of the phone. Well, what happened? Samsung made a commercial about it. Samsung said, oh my gosh, people will never go for that. They even made a commercial about it. A year later, Samsung takes the headphone jacks off the bottom of their phone. Oh, by the way, because they took the headphone jacks off the bottom of their phone, a year later they came out with the AirPods. The #1 selling Bluetooth device in the world right now is these little white things called an AirPod, right? Because every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive. And it's a disruptive moment within your movement that give it momentum. And see, for some of you, y'all watching right now, and you wonder why your brand feels stagnant, right? You watching right now, you wonder why your business feels stagnant. You watching right now, and you wonder why your profits are stagnant, right? It's because you ain't got no disruption, right? You look like everybody else. See, here's the thing. A voice can have an echo, but an echo cannot have a voice. Can't look like everybody else. Can't sound like everybody else. See, if you treated your business, right, like some people treat their parrots, right? See, I knew a person that had a parrot. They had a talking parrot, right? And when they had this talking parrot, everything you said to the parrot will repeat back to you. Everything you said to the parrot will repeat back to you. But no matter how many sentences you taught that parrot, it would only repeat it back to you exactly the way you said it. Now, when the parrot finished saying back to you what you said to it, you gave it a cracker because it replicated you, right? How did you pay the parrot? You paid it with a cracker. So when you go out in the marketplace and you show up and you look like and you sound like everybody else, that's why they've been paying you with crackers. You want to get paid? You got to be disruptive. Every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive. And it's a disruptive moments within your movement that give it momentum. I don't care whether we're talking about social politics. I don't care whether we're talking about that. I don't even care if we're talking about the Republicans versus the Democrats. 10, 15 years ago, the Republicans are starting to lose. They're getting stagnant. All of a sudden, they go through a disruption. That disruption is called the Tea Party, right? Every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disrupted. It's a disruptive moments within your movement that give it momentum. That disruption reignites, gives a rebirth to the Republican Party, and then it produces their president, now Donald Trump. Every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disrupted. It's disruptive moments within your movement that give it momentum. See, for many of you right now, you're looking for that magic elixir. You're looking for, ooh, what's going to be this new tool, this new click funnel, my funnels, your funnels, right? You're looking for the magic elixir, never realizing the key to your breakthrough, the key to your movement, the key to people following you, right, is you willing to be disruptive. Now, when we're talking about disruption, right, first, you got to have this concept of the idea that people rally together. Many of you watching today know me as the founder of Black CEO, right? Some of you just learned about that today. But what you might not have known is that Black CEO grew by over 40,000 members in 72 hours. Wow, because it was a concept or an idea that people rallied together around, right? Black entrepreneurship. Now, I'm not the only one that's created a concept or an idea that people rallied together around. 2 years ago, a guy goes on Facebook, creates a group called Beard Lives Matter, right? In less than a week, it grows to over 500,000 views, right? Because he had a concept or an idea that people rallied together around. So hear me closely. Every brand must have a movement. That is the concept or the idea that people rally together around. I met a young lady. Her name was LaShawna Williams. Now, if you know her, this is a powerful woman. This is a powerful Black woman. She is an executive. She is smart. She is brilliant. So when she decided to create her movement, she decided to create a movement for women like her, women who were smart, who were brilliant, who were high achievers, who were corporate execs, who were career professionals, right? And she created a brand called Busy Black Girls, B-I-Z-Z-Y, Busy Black Girls. She created a movement for people who were just like her, right? She created a movement where she could cater products and services and create an environment for people just like her. And she created Busy Black Girls. Needless to say, the rest is history. The brand has blown up all over the world, right? And we see this over and over and over again. See, so many times what we do with our brand is we think that the brand is the name. We think that the brand is the product. We think the brand is the color scheme. No, the brand is the people, right? The brand is see, if your brand does not cause people to connect to it, right? If you don't create a movement within your brand, you will have basically what we refer to as a dead brand, right? So what's your concept and idea that people rally together around? One day, I ran across two women, right? One was by the name of Pat Gillum. The other one was by the name of E.R. Spalding, right? And I noticed that when I saw them at events, they would both have these large, gigantic, like, you ever go to the gas station, Marcus, and you see them gigantic cups where they give you for soda? But they had like these gigantic cups with just ice, right? And then I saw E.R. Spalding, and she had a gigantic cup with just ice. And then I started noticing that they weren't the only women who had these gigantic cups of ice. And you know what? So I asked them, I said, what's with the gigantic cups of ice? And they said, you don't know. Ice, boy, you don't know. Now, what I came to learn, Marcus, is that ice is a very special thing. Some ice has different kind of crunchiness, different kind of shape. There's some ice that's better than other ice. So you know what they did? They basically created a group called Women Who Love Ice. And they weren't talking about diamonds. They were talking about real ice. And needless to say, it blows up. They created the concept of the idea that people could rally together around. And see, what happens is, as soon as you create the concept of the idea that people rally together around, you move from having an audience to having an army. See, I resent the term your target audience, because nobody wants to be your target. Nobody wants you aiming at them. People want to be a part of what you're doing. People want to feel served by what you're doing. So let's move away from trying to build your audience, right? And because there's a difference between an audience and an army, right? The army is they are really collectively collaborating, working together to produce a certain result. And a lot of times, if done correctly, that result can be profitable for you, profitable for your brand. And it's the way that you can blow a brand up, right? You can blow a brand up by really just creating the movement within your brand, right? And see, then what starts to happen is now you have what we call a tribe, right? You have a tribe, right? And what I'm gonna do right there, I'm gonna stop right there, and then we're gonna go into the second part of this. But just in case you have any questions, I'm gonna turn it back over to Mark. Now, let's recap where we are. M plus M plus M equals M. A movement plus a message plus a methodology equals money. The movement is the concept or the idea that people ride together around. The message is the thing that you're saying to inspire people to take inspired action. What people? The people that's part of your movement, right? The methodology, what is that? That's the process or the system that you use to produce results. For who? The people that you're called to serve. The people that's a part of your movement, right? All right, over to you, Marcus.
Man, I love it, man. Love it, love it, love it. You actually read my mind because I was going to ask you to recap the M plus M plus M for everybody. And I know I'm going to be rewatching this so I can take some notes because I love that. I love that mnemonic device. You also said two other P phrases and one other M phrase that I want to make sure people get. So can you repeat the profit plus poverty, that the two P phrases
Yeah.
and the M phrase? The extra
Yeah.
M phrase, because I think you said two.
Yeah. So what we really said is that a lot of times people go into entrepreneurship because they're passionate. But minus passion minus process equals poverty. Passion plus process equals profits. And so what has to happen is that you have to really go really deep into what is the process that you're going to add to your passion that now produces the profitable business that you were looking or that you envisioned when you first started out. Yeah. And then that phrase about the end, what we talked about is that every movement must have a moment, and those moments must be disruptive. And it's a disruptive moment within your movement that give it momentum. And we define what is disruption. Let me just say this. Every time I do a launch, I always ask myself, what's my POD? What's my point of disruption? What's going to be the thing that I did to just kind of shake it up, right? And so if you don't have that point of disruption, you have a problem. Now, whenever you are doing a launch, and let's just say, Marcus, you got this thing called, what is it? Start business better, do small business better, right? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Now, small biz better.
Yeah, small biz better, right? Write it down, hashtag, right? Now, here's the thing. When we say disruption, the first point of disruption is challenging the norm, challenging what your clientele or your prospect normally thinks, normally says, or normally does, right? Challenge what they normally think, say, or do. Think, say, do. Think, say, do. What do they normally think? What do they normally say? What do they normally do? In this situation, the they is your client, your customer, your prospect. What do they normally think about small business? What do they normally say about small business? What do they normally do in relationship to small business, right? Because you got powerful people ask powerful questions, and it will reveal that. So now that you know what they normally think, say, and do about small business, if I'm using Marcus as the example in his organization, and he's about to do a launch called Small Business Better, right? Now, I know what they normally think, say, or do. Now I have to introduce a concept that challenges what they normally think, challenges what they normally say, challenges what they normally do. How am I going to challenge that? That's the first point of disruption. So you got to challenge them. Then you got to ask yourself, because the second phase of disruption is, because we get elevated onto these high horses when we start our business. I am now a CEO, right? I am the head person in charge, right? Do you know who I is? So we got to challenge what we normally think, challenge what we normally say, challenge what we normally do. Michael Jackson said, I'm talking to the man in the mirror. The question is, who are you talking to? We get so used to challenging others that we get afraid to challenge ourselves. What do you normally think about small business? What do you normally say about small business? What do you normally do about small business? So Marcus is now challenging himself. So part of this disruption, right, is also not just aimed at challenging the client, but it's also challenging yourself. And then we take the industry-wide view. What does the industry normally think? What does the industry normally says? What do they normally do? Right? And when you challenge what the industry normally thinks, think, say, do, think, say, do, now you are in position for a transformative moment. See, Marcus, have you ever heard of a company called T-Mobile?
I have heard of a company called
Of
T-Mobile.
course you have. Of course you have. Well, their CEO that took that company over is a guy by the name of John Legere, right? And when he first took over that company, what he basically said was that we're going to challenge, we're going to be disruptive, right? And he creates a movement. Out of curiosity, do you happen to know what the name of his movement was called, Marcus? Anybody out there?
Demobilize?
Good guess, good guess. Any guess out there? What he called it, right? By the way, if you got a guess, put it in the chat box below. Put it in the chat box below if you got a guess. He called it the uncarrier movement. He called it the uncarrier movement. By the way, did you know John Legere is the reason why we don't have cell phone contracts anymore? 10, 15 years ago, you got a cell phone, you were stuck with that company for life if you wanted to keep your number. He was the one that said, okay, we're gonna let you take your number wherever you want to go, and you can bring your number from anybody else, right? He's the reason that we now have unlimited call. Because he said, you know what? I'm not gonna charge you by the amount of cell phone minutes you use. What we're gonna do is we're gonna give you unlimited minutes. He was challenging the carriers, right? Then he's the reason why we have unlimited text messages, right? And so all of a sudden, what he started to do is every quarter he was challenging the industry in a different way. Because every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive, and the disruptive moments in your movement to give it momentum. And so what happened was, because of that, AT&T, Verizon, everybody started following suit. And here was a company that started out in 6th and 7th place in the cell phone world, which is now currently in 3rd place and now challenging for 2nd. How they get that momentum, right? How do you go up against your competition? You think you can outspend your competition? First of all, if they're your competition, they probably already beat you. If they're your competition, they probably already got more money than you. How do you think Goliath, or how do you think you're gonna beat Goliath? How do you think David's gonna beat Goliath? David don't beat Goliath by trying to fight Goliath in the same way he's trying to fight him. No, he was being disrupted. Every movement must have. You are David. They are Goliath. You are the small business. They are the big business, right? You are David. They are Goliath. You are trying to be a world beater. Every movement, every business must have a movement. Every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive. That's you, right? It's the disruptive moments within your movement that give it momentum. How are you? You can ready to do your launch, your webinar launch, your product launch, your ebook launch, right? You about to open up your store. All right, all that sounds great. How you gonna be disruptive? Even Netflix, right? Netflix decided to challenge the norm. See, half of y'all got here because it was a blockbuster night, right? Now you here. But what they did, they said, you know what? No more going to the video store. No worries about it. They were David. Netflix was David. Blockbusters was Goliath. They said, you ain't gotta go to the store no more. You ain't even gotta go in there. No be kind, rewind, none of that. Basically, you can tell us what movies you want, right? And we're gonna ship it to your house. We're gonna ship you 3 of them, 3 to 5 movies at a time. And then when you're done, right, just ship it back to us. We're gonna give you the label, just pop it in your mailbox, it's done. Blockbuster started Netflix was a joke. But let me tell you something. Because Blockbuster didn't adapt, Netflix ate their lunch. Somebody say chomp chomp. Because that's what happens when somebody eats your lunch. Chomp chomp. Now, one of 2 things gonna happen. Either they gonna eat your lunch or you gonna eat their lunch. But at the end of the day, chomp chomp is gonna happen anyway. So then, Netflix didn't just sit on their heart. They said, okay, all right, people getting their movies shipped in. But then remember, you gotta challenge what you normally think. Challenge what you normally say. Challenge what you normally do. Netflix said what we were normally doing was we were shipping people to movies. But you know what? No more shipping people to movies. Tell you what, we built this online library. You can go online right now and you can just click the button and watch the movie, stream the movie right to your computer, right to your television, right to your cell phone. And right now, you probably don't know a person who ain't got a Netflix account. What they do, they challenge the norm, challenge what the industry was normally thinking, challenge what the industry was normally saying, challenge what the industry was normally doing. Before the industry could catch up to them, they were already disrupting it again. Why? Because every movement must have a moment. Those moments must be disruptive, and it's a disruptive moment within your movement that give it momentum. Come on, folks. Remember, business is a thinking man's game. Business is a thinking woman's game. Business is about thinking. See, here's the thing I can tell you. Write this down. Wherever you are in life, your mind got there first. Go ahead and write that one down. Wherever you are in life, your mind got there first, right? And so if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, you're trying to get to 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. Listen, there's only but so much hard work you can do, right? You listen, ain't but 24 hours in the day. So at the end of the day, I can tell you, labor might have got you to where you are, to where you are currently, but it's what you're thinking about that's going to get you to your next level. Because the number one problem facing today's small business entrepreneur is an addiction to your labor as the primary mechanism by which you generate revenue. You spend too much time in your labor and not enough time in your thinking. Wherever you are in life, your mind got there first. And by the way, go ahead and write this down. Mindset is not a thought. Mindset is a place. Mindset is not a thought. I ain't talking about the power of positive thinking. You want to watch something about the power of positive thinking? Go to doggone YouTube and get motivated. But let me tell you something. Entrepreneurs don't need to get motivated. They start out motivated. If you got a motivation problem, I can already tell you, you ain't an entrepreneur. Go get a job. Because entrepreneurs start out from the premise of I'm motivated to do something. I know some people's feelings got hurt, but that's okay. They ain't told you that. I'm here to disrupt you a little bit, right? Get motivated or get out, right? Because mindset is not a thought. We ain't talking about the power of positive thinking. We're talking mindset is a place, right? And wherever you are in life, your mind got there first. And see, what happens is when right now, see, small business better. See, some of y'all think y'all on a webinar. Some of y'all think y'all watching a daggone video. Some of y'all think y'all just supporting. Let me tell you something. You in a mastermind, right? You here to master your mind. Why? Because wherever you are in life, your mind got there first. Mindset is not a thought. Mindset is the place. So here's what you got to do. So wherever you want to get in life, you got to get your mind there first. If your mind ain't there, you ain't going either. If your mind ain't there, you ain't going either. Your mind ain't in 7 figures, guess what? You ain't going either. Your mind ain't in with scale to what you see. My good friend Delatore Benil, here's what he said. He said, you got to see it before you see it, or you will never see it. Mindset is not a thought. Mindset is the place. Wherever you are in life, your mind got there first. You got to see it before you see it, or you'll never see it. If your mind ain't there, you ain't going either. Yeah, it ain't happening. See, the job of the mastermind is you got to go forward into your future, see it before you see it, or you'll never see it, then come back to your present and take the necessary steps to make your future now show up in your present. That's the purpose of a plan. See, when you write your business plan, you write your business plan about we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it. The purpose of your plan is to go forward into, see, you got to go forward into your future, come back to your present, and take the necessary steps to make your future now show up in your present. That's the purpose of a plan. You're not planning for today, you're planning for tomorrow. What's your plan? Now, if your plan ain't based upon tomorrow, you need to get back in there and start brainstorming. Matter of fact, let me say this about entrepreneurs. New entrepreneurs, we tend to want to work more than we want to think. You want to know why we want to work more than we want to think? Because thinking is harder than working. It is. So it's time for you to now stop and think. You about to go swipe your credit card. You about to go buy the next membership. You about to go get the next coach, the mentor. You swiping your credit card before you doing any thinking. You got so much. Back in the days, we used to buy a bunch of books and never read them. Now we buy a bunch of software and never use it. Same thing. Right? We ain't thinking about it, right? So at the end of the day, you know what I mean? We got a lot of shelfware, right? So at the end of the day, we got to stop and we got to start thinking, right? We got to get into masterminds like this. You got to get into masterminds where they are planning, because you got to go forward into your future and see it before you see it, and you'll never see it. By the way, when you go forward into your future and see it before you see it, right? That's called the vision. Vision, write this down, y'all. Vision is the place that you go to see the future. Vision is the place that you go to see the future. Every entrepreneur got to have a vision. What's yours? Every entrepreneur got to have a vision. What's yours? You got too many people running around talking about they're an expert. You got too many experts and not enough visionaries. So if you want to do something that's never been done before, hire an expert. If you want to do something that's already been done before, hire an expert. If you want to do something that's never been done before, hire a visionary. The question is, which are you? Some of you are made to do things that have never been done before. You got to become the visionary of your company. The vision is the place that you go see the future. Let me just use this as an example, especially because I don't know when you're watching this, but and you might be watching it another time. But I think about Black History Month, and I think about one of our most famous leaders, Dr. Martin Luther King. He gives a speech. The name of the speech, the most famous speech of all time, is considered the most popular speech in the entire world. It's called the I Have a Dream speech. In the speech, he says, "I've been to the mountaintop, but I might not get there with you." He said, "But I've been there, but I might not get there with you." Let me suggest something to you, right? He starts to paint a vision for you, right? I see a vision one day with little Black boys and little Black girls. He starts to paint the vision, right? He basically paints a vision, right? He went forward into his future, saw it before we saw it, right? And then came back to his present and took the necessary steps to make that future show up in our present, i.e., I have a dream. Could have been I had a vision. Yeah. So what is the vision? I want everybody to write this down, right? Because many of us, you think in business, you think your job is to sell a product. And get that out of here. Your job is not to sell a product. Write this down. You got to sell the vision and position the action. You got to sell the vision and position the action. The buying is nothing more than action. Sell the vision and position the product. Sell the vision and position the product. Write it down. You're in a mastermind. Sell the vision and position the product. Well, what do we mean by sell the vision, right? I want y'all to repeat after me. The vision is this, right? The vision is the place that you go to see the future. It's the place that you go to see the future. When you are an entrepreneur, your job is to paint a picture of your client's future. And if you do a good enough job, see, the job of marketing is to paint a picture of that prospect's future, of that lead's future, of that client's future. The job of marketing is to paint a picture of their future. Now, to go somewhere here, I'm about to fix some of y'all marketing campaigns right now. Because some of y'all marketing campaigns are not painting a picture of their future, right? Now, you don't have permission to even introduce the product yet or the action, because until you get a buy-in, see, you sell the vision. So what are we selling? The vision. So what's the first thing that the client can buy? The first thing that the client buys is the vision. You need a buy-in on the vision. You need a buy-in on the future that you see for them. You selling diet pills, diet tea, I don't care. What is the future that you see for them, right? You need a buy-in on the vision. Once you get a buy-in on the vision, then you position that action or position that purchase or you position that product, right, as a way for them to achieve their vision, not yours. They're buying your product to achieve their vision, not yours. Sell the vision and position the product. Sell the vision and position the action. Now, what is the vision? See, when you think about vision, I want everybody to repeat after me. I must help them see what I see for them. I must help them see what I see for them. I must help them see what I see for them, right? And see, powerful people ask powerful questions. What do you see for them? Because that's what you should be talking about in your marketing campaign.
I like that.
Sell the vision and position the action. Vision is the place that you go to see the future. When you're trying to share your company's vision, your product's vision, your brand's vision, what you got to do is take them forward to their future where they can see what that product or service or brand is going to do for them, how it's going to change their life. Help them see what you see for them. Sell the vision and position the action. Mindset is not a place. Mindset is not a thought. Mindset is a place. It's not a thought, it's a place. Wherever you are in life, your mind got there first. One more big marketing tip for you guys, right? As we're talking about building out these movements and building out these tribes, right? You know, when we deal in marketing, part of it is really, really helping them see the vision. The other thing is really is understanding this, that I want everybody to know. First of all, everybody give yourself a pat on the back. Give Give yourself a pat on the back, Marcus. You're doing a good job. Everybody, give yourself a pat on the back, right? What I want you to know is that you're a superhero. You are. You're out there solving the world's problems. You're saving the day every day with your product, your service, your organization, your mission, or your brand. You're doing that, right? Well, here's the thing. Marcus, do you believe you're a superhero?
I know I am.
Good. Well, let me tell you something. The world never knows it needs a hero until they meet the villain. The world never knows that they need a hero until they meet the villain. The job of your marketing campaign is to introduce them to the villain. See, the better the villain, the better the hero. So when we're talking about that concept, that movement is the concept of the idea that people rally together around. People tend to rally together around beating the villain, right? So the world doesn't realize they need you until they meet the villain. So the purpose of your marketing campaign is to introduce them to the villain. Who's the villain in their world? Who's the villain that's coming to rob, cheat, and steal from them? Who's the thing? Who is the villain? So many of us, we keep trying to introduce them to, oh, check this out. My product is the best of all times. They don't even care because they don't know who the villain is. Whenever we think of any superhero movie, the first thing they start to do is they start building a narrative around the villain. They introduce the villain. And then once we start to hate the villain, they all of a sudden show up with the superhero. And we all start rooting for the superhero. Why? Because we needed somebody to beat the what? The villain. So as we're putting together our tribes, we have to decide who's the villain. Something, someone, someplace has got to be the villain. Back over to you, Marcus.
Man, I love it. I love it. I love the perspectives. I love the disruption that you're bringing. I love this new take on some of the concepts that we've thought about or that we know at least in the back of our minds, and really challenging them, like you said, disrupting them so that we can really take our businesses, our lives to the next place, to the next level. I love that. And I love how you position that. And I love how you closed out with that vision, as the theme of the summit, 2020 vision. And then how to bit, that was just masterful, man. I'm going to have to twist his arm, everyone, to get him to come back, because I know we are not finished yet. I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I could take some notes. And this is like so many of our sessions, I'm doing the interview, but I'm like, man, I got to rewatch this and take notes. So there was a commercial out, 2 decades, maybe 3 decades ago. The guy says, I'm not only the president, but I'm also a client. In this case, I'm not only the mastermind facilitator, but I'm also I don't know what you call it, the master mentee. So, so this has been amazing, man. I want to, as we bring this session to a close, I want to ask you, what if there's one piece of information that you can, or one piece of advice you can leave the audience with, what would that be as it relates to building our tribe, creating the loyalty, and keeping the engagement?
Well, let me give the number one thing I think all small business owners have to do, and then I'm going to actually even give them a free gift to help them along the way. Awesome. Not enough entrepreneurs are dealing in automation. They're not dealing in enough sequences. We experience it every day. We go to the grocery store, and now they have self-checkout. And those of us who catch Uber, we deal in automation. The number one problem facing today's small business entrepreneur is an addiction to our labor as the primary mechanism by which we generate revenue. And one of the things that we have to do is break our addiction to labor through building out better systems, through technology, and through automation. One of the things that we have done is some 10 years ago, I created what was called the evergreen revenue model. It is a way for you to generate business, to generate prospects, and generate clients in an automated way, right? And what gave me the idea was I started looking at renewable energy, and I started saying, if they are creating renewable energy, well, what would that be like if we had a renewable source of revenue? And what would it mean to create a renewable source of revenue model? And that became known as the evergreen revenue model. And some of you, you're working way too hard for the money, right? See, if you feel overworked and underpaid, you really got a branding problem, because branding is how people assess value in the products and services that you offer, right? If you really feel like you just don't have enough people coming into your sequence or to your system or to your business or into your to your CRM or to your email, you really got a marketing problem. You got to know what kind of problem you actually have, right? But regardless of whether you got a brand problem or a marketing problem, we built a system that can help you. And I want to give it to you for free today. There is no requirement. There's nothing to sell you on the back end. What I want you to do is I want you to text the word evergreen, right? EVERGREEN. Write it down, text the word evergreen. And you can text that to 240-428-6333. 240-428-6333. 240-428-6333, right? And it's going to send you a chart. It's going to send you a blueprint to help you start building out your automated system to bring in clients and customers and to start to generate revenue on automatic pilot. So here's my final note to you. I've been to a lot of conferences. I got the box full of things, the bag full of stuff. I got the T-shirt and the wristbands, and I talked to, I feel like I've talked to every guru on the planet, and sometimes out there as entrepreneurs, it's hard. Sometimes you don't know who to believe. Sometimes everything seems too good to be true. And then, I consider myself to be a deeply spiritual man. I really do. And I had a time sometimes trying to differentiate between whether it was something that my higher power would approve of, that he would want me to do, that he would want me to participate. Is this from God? Is the question that would always come up for me. And I will say this for many of you, because many of you, entrepreneurship is your God-given right to make a difference in the world. Write that down. Entrepreneurship is your God-given right to make a difference in the world. And as you're out there, it's not just entrepreneurship. It's not just making a dollar, right? You're trying to make a dollar and a difference at the same time. But there's also a spiritual connection to what you're doing out there in the world. You're not just an entrepreneur, you're an impactpreneur. And so with that, you're looking for alignment, and you're looking for people that resonate with who you be and what you're trying to do. And sometimes it's hard to tell the sheep from the wolves. But here's what I will tell you. And I want you to never forget this. And I want you to write this down. I want you to underline it. And I want you to use this as part of your 2020. If it came from God, it came with a plan. If it came from God, it came with a plan. Noah got a vision from God. Remember? The vision, the thing, the place where you go to see the future. Remember? Mindset is not a thought. Mindset is a place. Where do you think that vision happened at? It happened in Noah's mind. Noah had a vision from God, right? And it was a vision of the world to come and a vision of the ark he needed to build, right? Now, right after he got that vision, God also gave him a plan. Here's how much wood you're going to need. Here's how big it's going to be. He gave him a plan. That also tells us something, that if it came from God, it came with a plan. And so as these gurus claim to be from upon high, or claim to be the experts, the greatest expert the world has ever seen, I leave you with this, that if it came from God, it came with a plan. So when they proclaim over your life, proclaim into your business, the first thing you need to ask is, where is the plan? Remember, passion minus process equals poverty. Passion plus process equals profit. My name is Trevor Otts. I'm the founder of Black CEO. I'm also the CEO of the Peak Performance Institute. Feel free to connect with me on Facebook, Instagram. My Instagram handle, my Facebook handle is Trevor Otts. And I would encourage you, if you got a question, there's no such thing as a dumb question. You got a question, right? Send me a Facebook message. Ask the question. Guess what? I like to answer people's questions, especially entrepreneurs, just like me. So let's go out there and make a difference in the world together. Stay the course, my friend.
Man, I love it, man. I love it. I love it. So everyone, make sure you take heed. Take heed. Add Trevor on Facebook, Instagram, all the socials. Ask some questions. I'm going to be doing the same. I'm going to be rewatching this session as well, because so many things to unpack. So many great mind shifts and mindset shifts to really challenge the status quo, which I absolutely love. And so I'm going to ask him here on air to give him a little more pressure to say yes. But Trevor, I'm assuming we can see you on a future summit to deliver us some more great knowledge, correct?
I'll be back and I'll do you one better. The next time we return, I'm going to teach you the evergreen revenue model. I'm going to teach you how to map out a plan that will add anywhere between 10 to 50,000 people into your list on automatic pilot. And I'm going to show you how to do it with ease and how to do it with grace. So hashtag evergreen revenue model. And so you are prepared. If you haven't done it, text the word evergreen to 240-428-6333. I'll see you on the other side.
I love it. I love it. We are so in sync, man. Because I was going to ask you to please give that your lead magnet to people again, to the audience again. So we are very much in sync. Everyone, thank you again for attending another great session. Remember, if you have questions for Trevor, in addition to adding him on Facebook, Instagram, also leave any questions that you have right below this video so that we can get to those, so that we can bring you more great content. And many of the sessions that we have in the future come from your questions. So make sure to participate there as well. The information for the next session and how to access the next session is now in your email box. So make sure you click on that and access that the same way you clicked on this session as well. Thank you again for attending this session. Continue to bring us the ideas, the questions that you have so that we can do future sessions. We really love this. We really love giving back. We love bringing on speakers like Trevor. So this is absolutely amazing. Trevor, thank you again so much for blessing us with this content, for gracing us with your content, your expertise, your mindset shifts. And everyone, we thank you for attending this session. We will see you in the very next session. Small Biz Better.
Small biz better.